We're just at Whole Foods.
Hi, Poppy. Hi.
So we just had the agency party and I totally forgot to film or take any kinds of photos because I was hosting and super busy. I thought about it right when I arrived to like assign someone to do it and ask them, and I forgot to ask them.
I have photos of food and we can take photos of gifts.
We could do that. Anyway, so I'm gonna like email everyone and find out if anyone filmed or anything like that, but I don't think they did. Sorry. Right now we're at Whole Foods getting food.
Because there is no Whole Foods in Berlin or Montreal.
It's true. Good morning, guys. I'm just heading out for breakfast with a friend of mine. Well, she's a friend of mine, but she's the mom of two kids that I used to take care of when I lived in Vancouver, Scarlett and Finn, who I love like my own children. Anyways, I'm meeting up with them and their dad later on tonight to do like gift exchange and that kind of thing, but unfortunately the mom has to work like a late shift. So I'm meeting up with her briefly now just to kind of say hi and catch up and whatnot. And then later on today we're going to be making cookies because my parents live with friends of theirs that you saw in the previous vlog, Carl and Joanne, and they went out of town. Before they went out of town, they bought like a pack of 24 eggs for whatever reason, and then my mom bought a pack of 12 eggs yesterday thinking we didn't have eggs because she didn't realize that they would have bought some before going out of town. So we have a lot of eggs, so my mom has tasked me with baking. So I'm gonna be making some Christmas cookies and maybe some Eierkuchen, which is a German thing, and a couple other things that are egg heavy. Yeah. So that's kind of the plan for today. And then I meet up with the kids and their dad at 5 o'clock today to do like a quick little gift exchange. But I'm super excited to see them. Vancouver is so pretty. Hey guys, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be baking some Christmas cookies. This is just kind of like not really a Christmas cookie recipe, I guess. It's just a cookie recipe, and I'm just doing them in like Christmas cookie shapes, but I'll show you what I have. We have 250 grams of flour, 100 grams of butter, 100 grams of icing sugar, 1 egg yolk, 2 tablespoons cream, a package of vanilla sugar, a pinch of salt, a teaspoon of baking powder, and some orange zest. Normally I do lemon zest, but I don't have a lemon, so orange zest is what we're doing. So we're starting with mixing the butter and flour until you get kind of like a crumbly consistency. So I kind of do the initial thing with the machine, and then eventually you do just kind of have to get in there with your hands. It's a little too powdery, so just kind of squeezing it together tends to do the trick. Make sure you wash your hands before you do this. So that has a pretty runny consistency. I add the baking powder at the very end because you don't want to over mix it. So I'm gonna blend that together. So now into that mixture, I'm gonna add the flour and butter mix. So I'm just gonna have my speed on low here. My speed on low, and I'm just gonna add some of that flour and butter mix. Or rather all of it, not some of it. And blend that nice and thoroughly. And then at the very end, I'm putting in my baking powder. The egg yolk still here, that's kind of gathered. Going to be something quite crumbly like this, so then you just want to knead this with your hands a little bit and then this has to go into the fridge for an hour. So this comes out looking, hold on, something like this, but it's a pretty decent clump. So I'm just gonna get that together, knead it a little bit, and then pop that guy into the fridge, but make sure you wrap it in foil, otherwise it's gonna dry out completely. Okay, so we have our ball of dough here. Just gonna grab some foil, and then that's just gonna go in the fridge for about an hour to harden it up a little bit before we can roll it out for our cookies. Okay, so for our second batch of cookies for our different dough, this one is nut based. So I am using a nut mixture. I'm using almonds, hazelnuts, and pecans, whatever they're called. And so I'm gonna mix those in with that one. So this will be a slightly darker dough. And you can like go out and buy powdered nuts or whatever, or ground nuts. But I have like a Cuisinart blender thing, so I'm just gonna blend them myself. Okay, so for cookies round 2, we're making vanilla nut cookies. Now these are really good if you have anyone allergic to eggs, because there are no eggs in these, or if you're vegan, you can replace the butter with margarine, and then you can also make these. So we have 280 grams of flour, 200 grams of butter, 100 grams of icing sugar, 100 grams of nuts, and a package of vanilla sugar. Guys, you do want your, sorry, that's just a coffee machine in the background. For these cookies, you do want your butter to be a little bit softer, and normally room temperature is good, like if you take your butter out the night before. Unfortunately, I took it out like 2 hours ago and it just wasn't soft enough, so I'm just popping these in a pan to melt it a little bit quickly. The nice thing is that even if you use hot butter, the consistency will be a little bit different, but you can't cook the egg accidentally because there's no egg in there. So I would say that this is just about cooked enough. Most of it is melted, or melted enough, warm enough I meant. Most of it is melted. We got some chunks in there, so I think I'm good with that. So we've got our butter in there, and this is so easy. You literally just dump everything in and blend it. You can't really over blend it because there's no baking powder or anything in there. So it's a really, really easy one to do. So our butter's already in there. I'm just gonna add our flour. And like I said, with this one, it's so easy. There's no like steps. You literally just put everything in and then start blending it. It's super, super simple. Our powdered sugar. Our ground up nuts. So obviously if you want a really smooth consistency, you'd want to buy these at a store. I just ground these up in a blender so they're a little bit more chunky, I guess. And then we have our vanilla sugar. If you don't have a place to buy vanilla sugar, when I say a package of vanilla sugar, this is 8 grams of vanilla sugar. So just over a teaspoon, a tablespoon. I think a teaspoon is what, 5 grams? I don't know. It's 8 grams of sugar, and you can just, if you buy a vanilla bean and you just get out the vanilla inside the vanilla bean and throw that in your sugar and leave it overnight. Okay, so now that that's done, you're gonna see that this is quite the big lump. So it comes out quite buttery. There's a lot of butter in here. So same kind of deal, we just put this into a big ball and then wrap it in tin, or not in tin foil, plastic foil, and leave it in the fridge. This one for 2 hours. So the reason you're leaving this one for 2 hours is you're really trying to give the butter a chance to harden back up now that it's incorporated with the rest of the dough. I know you're probably supposed to scrape it down while you're doing it. I never do that for anything. And I bake a lot, every Sunday maybe. So anyway, so we have that ball of dough there. And this is going to be a lot softer than that previous dough that we just had. This is literally like soft butter, kind of. Perfect. All right, so this guy goes in the fridge for 2 hours. Probably should have done this one first, but whatever. Okay, so for these next cookies, I really don't like gingerbread, but I like the darker cookies, so I add cocoa instead, but I'll show you the ingredients. So we have 225 grams of flour, we have 110 grams of butter, 100 grams of sugar, 2 large eggs, we have a pinch of salt, a pinch of baking powder, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cocoa, I might add more, I'll have to taste the dough, 35 grams of honey, you can also use agave syrup instead, and just a splash of vanilla extract. So we're going to start with our butter and sugar, and we're just going to beat that until it's light and fluffy, depending on how warm your butter is. Mine, I took out of the fridge 2.5 hours ago, so it's not that warm yet. They'll take about 5 to 10 minutes. Add that in, and then our sugar. I'm using just like natural organic sugar, and there's a little bit of flour left in my bowl, which is why it looks brown, but it is just regular sugar. And then we just so you can see that this dough has a much darker appearance, and that's just due to the cocoa. Now if you actually want these to taste like chocolate, add a little bit more cocoa in it, but for me it's really just for color, for decorating purposes. And just like all the other ones, you're going to wrap this in some foil and pop it in the fridge for, these ones, half an hour, 45 minutes, so a little bit less than the other guys. And now that I've done this, my first batch of cookies should be ready to start rolling out and cutting. So now we are going to roll out our first dough on a lightly floured surface and cut out some cookies. So now the nut-based dough is a little bit different. It's it breaks apart very easily, so it's not really suitable for cookie cutouts. It's more to make little like half moons. So I'm gonna make a bunch of those. So our star-shaped cookies are in the oven at 180 degrees for 10 minutes, and the other ones are just on the tray, so I just have those chocolate ones left to do. But I'll show you the star ones. They're at 5 minutes right now. Here are the star cookies. And then for these guys, they don't get icing. They're going to be coated in powdered sugar and a little bit of vanilla. So I'll show you how to best make that stick. So it's actually really simple. You're just going to take a fork, and you're just gonna press like this on the cookie, so you're kind of making a line pattern, and that's gonna help the icing sugar stick. So this is our last batch of cookies. These are the chocolatey or more chocolatey ones. They're not really super chocolatey. And these ones are just like regular cookie dough that you can cut out. So our little round ones are in the oven for 15 minutes at 170 degrees. And these guys are going to go in at 170 degrees for 10 minutes. So these are the nut cookies, which I just dusted some powdered sugar onto. They're pretty breakable because they're quite dry. So you can see I have a few broken ones here. So these cookies here and these ones here will be decorated a little bit later. It's actually really good that I have to go out now because I'm very impatient and usually decorate them while they're still warm, which is not good for icing purposes.
You need to like put it together, like put all the pieces together, and then you're done.
And then it repeats?
The second time, I skipped this. Then down, Gina.
I will sit down. I promised Mojo I'd film.
This is avocado.
That is avocado. You're absolutely right.
Can you sit beside me, Scarlett?
So I sure am.
That's a paintbrush.
Finn, what are you doing?
I'm doing the dinosaur puzzle.
Oh, the dinosaur puzzle.
Can I use your paintbrush?
Sure you can.
This one is actually bigger.
Scarlett's got some purple going on there.
And Scarlett has some
Some
pink.
green. Scarlett has some pink.
Twin.
Sabrina's going
Is it
professional
okay?
on us.
Is it cool when I do the dabbing?
And teaching Skyla how to do it too.
Scarlett, don't you want to do the dabbing?
I do want to do the dabbing. Finn's all texturizing here.
Look at mine.
Wunderbar.
Downtown was?
16. Im Downtown.
16? Ach so, da.
Die neue Schule kriegen. Weiter Intention.
Bitte.
Hast gar keinen Platz zu sitzen, oder richtig? Sabrina,
Ja.
weißt du, welche Stadt gut ist?
New York, Berlin, Chicago,
Nein.
New Orleans, San
Nein.
Francisco.
Und wir schauen morgen mal.
Ich würde sagen, können wir ja mal gucken, ob wir das hinkriegen.
Ihr müsst das updaten oder wie auch immer.
We have some serious stocking contemplation. Because it needs to be aesthetically pleasing with the colors. Are you going lightest to darkest?
No, I'm trying to even it out with white and red and stuff. But it's not working.
Well, you could do lightest to darkest.
Or we can just do them in age order.
You could do that too. But put the red one where you just like switch it. Or okay, I don't.
Actually, I want the youngest to be
This is a process every year.
Not aesthetically perfect, but at least it has a line of succession kind of thing going on.
Line of succession. So what, the crown?